Want your taxes done for free? You're not getting the IRS to do them for you anytime soon, thanks to Congress, but there are still other free options. You just need to know where to look. All that and much more on today's Money in the Morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning. I'm Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown Up Podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen, Joe.
And from my mom's half-finished basement in Detroit, Michigan, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy from Stacking Benjamins.
This is the podcast where we cover recent headlines ripped from the financial press. Not only do we read them, like some podcasts, Joe, but we get into why they matter. And we give you some takeaways so you can make them all your own.
This is exciting news that we're about to share today, Bobby. This is going to be a fun one.
This is epic.
Let's just jump right into it. We're talking taxes today. Laura, kick this thing off.
It's that time again. Your Money in the Morning headlines.
Congress is about to ban the government from offering free online tax filing. Thank you, TurboTax. And this is by Justin Elliott, and it is in ProPublica. A bill supported by Democrats and Republicans would make permanent a program that bars the IRS from ever developing its own online tax filing service. I think I said it is by Justin Elliott. All right, just in time for tax day, the for-profit tax preparation industry is about to realize one of its long-sought goals. Congressional Democrats and Republicans are moving to permanently bar the IRS from creating a free electronic tax filing system. Last week, the House Ways and Means Committee, led by Richard Neal, blah, 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 moving forward a little bit, they basically are passing something called the Taxpayers First Act, which is a wide-ranging bill making several administrative changes to the IRS that is sponsored by Representative John Lewis and Mike Kelly. Now, one of its provisions, Joe, this is where you got to pay attention. The bill makes it illegal for the IRS to create its own online system of tax filing. Companies like Intuit, the maker of TurboTax, and H&R Block have lobbied for years to block the IRS from creating such a system. If the tax agency created its own program, which would be similar to programs other developed countries have, it would threaten the industry's profits. And we have a quote from Mandy Matlock, a tax attorney who does work for the National Consumer Law Center. Quote, "This could be a disaster. It could be the final nail in the coffin of the idea of the IRS ever being able to create its own program." Okay, so we're just going to pause here for a moment, Joe, before we read more. I took issue, and I wanted to. This was the story that I brought to the show. I wanted to talk about this story because I don't like the way that it's framed, because it implies that there's a change. The headline implies that something is happening, but really this is just confirming the status quo, and that is that the IRS is not in the business of doing your taxes, and that third-party companies are in the business of doing your taxes, and they do it for free if you meet certain criteria, which I presume would be the same criteria if the IRS were doing it for you.
But that
IRS collects taxes.
Yeah, and to be clear, though, that was a agreement earlier between the IRS and many different companies that they could be part of this circle of people that the IRS would put on their website as long as they as they said that they would do taxes for people below a certain amount of money for free.
$66,000. If you make under $66,000, they will do your taxes for free. And I do want to also point out that I have no affiliation with any of these companies. I'm not even a customer of theirs. So I have no stake in this, because I say that because I do have a very strong point of view here. The article goes on to say that experts have long argued that the IRS has failed to make filing taxes as easy and cheap as it could be. In addition to a free system of online tax preparation and filing, the agency could provide people with pre-filled tax forms containing the salary data the agency already has, as ProPublica first reported in 2013. So they basically already do this, Joe, between third parties. That's where this gets me angry. And I'll continue just briefly. The Free File Alliance, a private industry group, says 70% of American taxpayers are eligible to file for free. These taxpayers who must make less than $66,000 a year have access to free tax software provided by these companies. Just 3% of eligible U.S. taxpayers actually use the free program each year. Critics of the program say that the companies use it as a cross marketing tool to upsell paid products and that they have deliberately under promoted the free option and that it leaves consumer data open to privacy breaches. So basically, it's saying that this is a PR problem. People need to know that they can file for free. It's not an issue of who's filing it for free. They just don't know that the free filing is available to them.
Well, let's do the giveaway first. You know, what critics talk about is totally true. I mean, these companies use the fact that they're on the IRS website to market to wouldn't you do that? I totally would do that.
100%. But let's also talk about how the interests are aligned. If you have the IRS, and we're not even getting into competence or budgets or resources that the IRS may or may not have, but if you are the IRS and your job is to collect as much tax as you can from each taxpayer, then what is your motivation to find the legal ways that people can pay lower taxes? If you are a private company, you are very motivated because you want to push that person up into the paid tier. If someone's free making $65,000 when they get to 67,000, sure, you want them to stick with you. You want to serve that client and do a
Sure.
good job for them.
That's the basic distrust, natural distrust, and probably healthy distrust people have of their government and a government entity doing something. I will tell you, in real life, it's a little different than that. Currently, whenever I've had issues, and this has gone back 20 years with taxes, the number one resource, and a fantastic resource, and a resource that has helped when I was a financial planner, helped my clients save lots of money, was calling the IRS. And IRS people were, and this is going to be shocking, you might want to be sitting down, were competent, were on the side of the taxpayer, were easy to talk to, were absolutely a fantastic resource. Now, if you're going to call into the IRS, you got to call first thing in the morning because they get really backed up. So call calling at the end of the day is really tough. Call at the very beginning. Start dialing the second that they open. And unfortunately, I don't have those times in front of me. But I do think, I totally agree with you, Bobby, that could all change tomorrow, right? I mean, that everything could change tomorrow. The thing that I worry about isn't a comment that we had here, Donna, but we do this live, by the way, in front of a Facebook audience. Welcome to everybody who's hanging out with us today, making a podcast. But Donna says, can't imagine what the IRS would charge. I think it would be free, Donna. The thing that I worry about is that it would be clunky and there's no impetus to make the product better. And because of the fact that this coalition of many different software companies are competing for the love of the IRS, now what you have is competition between these different software programs to make theirs better so more people want to use theirs. I dig that. I think that's great. But imagine if it were just the IRS and it were clunky. We're going to have a big, we're going to talk about it for a while. We're going to have a bunch of committee meetings. You're going to have bureaucracy. I'm not that excited about it. And by the way, the reason the IRS impetus has been to maybe do this is because a lot of other governments do it. And over the short term, it does streamline the process. I mean, imagine getting rid of all of this gobbledygook and you just go to the IRS website, you fill out your taxes. That seems to be pretty straightforward. It's only when you dig into it a little more where you think about all these things that could happen that it gets pretty ugly.
Yeah. And I do want to echo, Donna is commenting on our Facebook feed here that she does find irs.gov very useful. I talk about that all the time. Their website is incredibly well written and very clear and a wonderful resource. And the way that you do file right now for free is going through the IRS free file. It's just that the actual execution is through these third-party channels. So I don't know that this would change that much. It's just that the third party would now go back, it would reroute you back to the IRS. So it would be free. But I also worry, does this become a haves and haves not? That if you can't afford the third party system where you go to a TurboTax or an H&R Block, then you go to the IRS. And then I don't like that. I like the idea that everyone is sort of equal in this.
Well, and I like the fact that this is a partnership, right? You have the IRS on one side, whose job is to protect taxpayers, saying, hey, you have to offer it for free to X people. And then the marketing capitalist intentions of these companies on the other side, and that competition helping make the software better. I think the system works. By the way, this is not a law yet, and we cautioned people on this before. This is not there. But this House Ways and Means Committee, Republicans and Democrats, again, the second time in a week, we've reported on something. This particular committee's rocking. The rest of government seems to be broken. We don't talk politics on the show, but I got to say,
Productivity.
This committee's getting crap done. I mean, retirement reform, working on good stuff with this IRS.
Well, these are also things that, I mean, I guess the story frames this as controversial. I don't know how controversial it really is. They're really just putting a rubber stamp on what is already the status quo.
Yeah.
In the end.
I think our big
takeaway? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think our big takeaway here is finding partners. I think finding partners is always a good thing. Obviously, I found a great partner in Bobby Rebel. And you know what? When you work with other people who have their own agenda, clearly Bobby has things that she's doing that she's trying to promote. I've got things I'm doing that I'm trying to promote. Us working together, cross-promotional purposes works really well for both of us. And we're also able to make a better product here at Money in the Morning because we work together. So same thing, I think.
That was so nice of you.
This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, hosted and produced by Bobby Rebel and Joe Saul-Sehy, is engineered by Caden Thompson, and all put together by a pack of well-trained ferrets down here in Joe's mom's basement. You'll find Bobby at the Financial Grown-Up Podcast and Joe at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Go say hi to them there, too. Online, visit us on Twitter at Average Joe Money and at Bobby Rebel, or come join a live recording at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. I know you already know this too, but Money in the Morning is for entertainment purposes only. You should not act on anything recommended by a bunch of entertainers in a basement or even a Manhattan kitchen without first consulting your financial advisor. And second, dude, have your head examined. Have headlines you'd like us to discuss? Send them to joe@stackingbenjamins.com or put them on our Stacking Benjamins closed Facebook group. This show is a collaboration of Stacking Benjamins LLC and BRK Media LLC. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and I reserve the right to always say, we'll see you next time back here on Money in the Morning.